Hey y'all, it's your friendly neighborhood stage managers at T2. I am Shannon. I am the production stage manager and associate producer.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jerry Jensen. I'm the resident stage manager here at T2.
Hey everyone, I'm Anna Colley. I'm the Stage Management Associate here at T2.
Each Thursday during our school closures, we plan to highlight a different department of our theater in a segment we're calling our TheatreSquared Thursdays. This week, the three of us will be doing a quick Q&A session to give you guys some backgrounds about who we are and what we do for TheatreSquared. So let's get to some questions.
So, Shannon, you are the production stage manager. Can you tell us a little bit about what your day-to-day is like?
So my job is as the production stage manager is to head the stage management department, which means I'm in charge of staffing, assigning projects, etc., things like that. I typically stage manage most of the shows in the season, but there are times when Jerry or Anna will stage manage or will switch off on projects depending on how our season looks like. My day to day is typically rehearsals, meetings, things like that during the daytime. And then at night, I switch over to shows. When I'm not doing shows, then I'm typically working on calendars, budgeting, general organization, and paperwork type things. What about you, Jerry?
Me, it's very similar to Shannon's. It depends on what aspects of the production that we're in. If it's post production, it's a lot of prep paperwork, getting everything organized and ready for rehearsals. Once we're in rehearsals, it's running the rehearsals, making sure everybody has what they need, and then running the show when it's open. So it varies day to day, but that's generally the common three. And
Well,
what about you, Anna?
much like the both of you, it really depends on if we're in rehearsal mode or if we're in show mode. When I'm in rehearsal mode, we'll all be in the rehearsal room, tracking props and costume pieces, as well as normally I'm on book for the actors in case they need to call line. And then when we're in show mode, just getting the theater all ready for the performances each night, checking props, and helping make sure that the show runs smoothly.
With stage management, is it something that you can go to school for? Is it something you can study? How did you guys do it? Um, what are some options?
You can definitely go to school for stage management. There are different programs across the country where you can do an emphasis in theater, where you can do a generalized theater degree and kind of figure things out, and maybe you like stage management a little bit more than something else. For me personally, I got my bachelor's BFA in stage management from the University of Central Florida. Now, Anna, I turn it to you.
Thanks. Yeah, so I got my associate's degree from Cotty College and then my bachelor's from the University of Arkansas. And neither college had a stage management specific program, but I was really lucky and had the opportunity to stage manage several shows during my collegiate career. It was a lot of fun. How about you, Jerry?
Uh, no, I was in kind of same boat as Shannon. I was lucky that the college that I went to, which was the University of Utah, they had a specific stage management program within their theater department. So once I decided that that's what I wanted to do, I was able to join that program and work specifically in with a stage management emphasis. That's what I did.
Nice. Love that. So both of you, what have been some of your favorite experiences here at T2? Jerry, do you want to answer first?
Sure, yeah, I'll go first. Something that I really enjoy a lot about working at T2 is the emphasis on new works that T2 has. Each year we have a new play festival. We're also very mindful of uh, producing new works throughout our season. And I always, something that I never really worked on a whole lot before. So I found that I really enjoy that whole process of working on a piece of theater that hasn't been done before. So working with the writers or the playwright, sorry, on the play and just figuring out all the fun feedback and figuring what works, what doesn't, and then just working on the show and making it the best that it could be. It's something I found that I enjoy quite a bit.
Yeah, that's awesome.
One of my I don't have like a particular favorite experience at T2, but in general, what I really love about it here is the community and the family. And what I love most about that aspect of it is the thousands of people who come from all across the country, some people from overseas and other parts of the world will come here to work at TheatreSquared, and that's a really rewarding experience, and I really love that.
Yeah. Oh. Well, I'm going to tell you guys about my favorite experience. I love the new plays. I love getting to meet people from all over, but one of my favorite things is getting to participate in the magic that happens on stage. So back during Christmas Carol, there were 3 moments that I absolutely loved because I got to help with the onstage magic. The first one was the arm that came out that Scrooge's robe and little hat was on. I operated that from off stage, so that was always fun, and it was fun to kind of like work with the actor to get the timing just right to get the biggest audience reaction. And then there was also a moment where the Ghost of Christmas Past had a sheet over her, and then she did this wonderful dramatic stand up, and I got to snatch the sheet. So it looked really cool. And then the third one, it was a lot of fun. It was actually me, Jerry, and our other third crew person was backstage, and all 3 of us had to work together to make the fireplace mantle and tapestry like all move and come down in this one seamless moment at the end of Act 1. And it was just, it's just always so fun to, yeah, like I said, get to help contribute to the magic that's happening on stage. So,
Love it.
I will say that I got to watch it every night from the booth, and it looked very magical. It's a really awesome effect. So, I loved it.
Victory!
What's the hardest show that you guys had to stage manage, and why was it particularly challenging? There we go.
I have 2 that stand out. One is a dance concert that I did in college. Dance shows in particular are really challenging in that you're relying completely on audio and visual cues when you're calling a show. So it's kind of a different beast than when you're stage managing, say, a traditional theater show where you have lines and et cetera, et cetera. You have to be really tuned into the dancers on stage to make sure that the timing is just perfect. And that's a really challenging aspect of working on dance shows. Another show where I would say I had maybe one of the hardest ones that I've had to stage manage is actually the first show that I got to stage manage at T2, which was Fun Home. It was my first show stage managing here, so it was just challenging in the way that like I hadn't done that before in this capacity here. So it was a new experience. But what I found most challenging about that show was riding the emotional wave that came with doing that show each night, because there is such an intimate and intense connection between the actors, the audience, and the stage manager. And there's actually a lot of emotional capacity that you have to kind of watch a show each night, and getting to experience that was really challenging, but it was also really rewarding.
I love that. I loved Fun Home. That was a good one.
That's a good one.
So for me, the hardest show or most challenging, hardest, whichever. It was a 1 act that had like 14 scenes in it. And between each scene, there's this really intricate transition that all had these light and sound cues tied into it. And so you had to be really precise with the cues and pay really close attention to the specific actor movement. But man, there is nothing like just nailing a really cool, challenging cue sequence. Oh, it's so good. It's just the best.
It's awesome.
It is pretty cool. For me, I would say the most challenging thing that I've stage managed was a 1-act festival that I worked on in Chicago. There was about 7 different kind of like 1-act plays that were all part of this festival that was going on, and each one had its own casts. And so I had upwards of, I did the math in my head really quick, there was about 35 to 40-ish people but I had to keep track of. And
That's a lot of people.
yeah, the organization was really hard with that one, just making sure that I got the right info to the right set of people, and just keeping track of everything was a little hard. But so that was the hardest show that I've stage managed. I should say multiple shows, since there were like 7 of them. But
You
That's true.
go. Look
was-
at you.
Yeah.
that was it for that. That's it for me.
So is there anything that you think people don't realize about being a stage manager that you would like for them to know?
I'll hop in. I would say that people don't realize how many different hats you have to wear as a stage manager. It's different hats, different productions, multiple hats within one production, stuff like that. Stage management is a lot more than just having clean paperwork or calling a show or XYZ. There's an amount of being in tune to the people around you. Reading the room is a phrase that you hear a lot, and knowing kind of when you need to step forward, when you need to pull back as the stage manager. You get to be everyone's cheerleader, but you're also you're a friend, you're a confidant, you're a boss, you are many different people. And stage management is more than just kind of the physical aspect that we see on stage, or like, oh, that person behind the booth, behind the glass in the booth calling the show. Everyone's needs are different, and so the stage manager is the person who's there to keep the show cohesive, to keep it friendly, and to keep it fun. But it's definitely one of those things that is probably less known about stage managers. What advice would you guys give to aspiring high school stage managers or stagehands?
That's very.
Well, what I'll go first. No, what I would say is make a conscious effort to become very familiar with all of the design aspects of theater. Learn all that you can about lighting, about set design, costume design, audio, music, if you're doing musicals. Because the stage manager is the person that makes sure that everybody's on the same page, you make sure that everyone knows what's going on. Being familiar with the different design aspects and kind of the terminology and how they do things and things that they're capable of, things that they can't do, helps a lot in communicating the needs of the show, what the director wants, and then communicating with the director what the designers say is possible and what's not. So the more that you are familiar and the more knowledge you have in those things, the better that you can help with communication and making sure that everyone's on the same page. So learn everything. There you go.
There you go.
I would say that my advice is to be kind and be firm. That means to yourself and to others. I think some of the best advice I got as a stage manager was to have a backbone. But it was great. It was great advice, because stage management is one of those professions where it can feel really natural to want to please everyone and to make everyone happy. But by doing that, you're not always serving the best needs of the production. And so those are the times where you have to really be kind to yourself. If something doesn't happen, the way that someone wanted it to happen, don't beat yourself up about it. Sometimes you have to say no to your friends, people who we've worked with for ages, and you have to be like, no, we can't do that because of, X, Y, or Z. But theater is a really collaborative art. And so at the same time, there's going to be all of these different opinions and all of these different voices in the room. And stage managers, a big part of our job is to help make sure that we're all feeling like in a cohesive unit, like one unit, one goal, one place that we're working towards, which is to put on this great show. And so it's also really good advice. I would say just to listen to every voice in the room. Every opinion matters, even if it's different than your own.
Nice.
Yes. Be kind. That's a good one.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys for answering questions.
Yeah, thank you.
We learned some stuff about each other. We learned a little bit more about each other. We've been
Yeah,
working
I love
together
it.
for a long time. Thank you guys so much for joining us. That's all the time we have. Thanks for being a part of TheatreSquared Thursday. Remember, you can reach out to teachueducation.org if you have any other questions that you want to ask us. But in the meantime, stay safe out there. Have fun.
Bye.
Bye.